All right, we're talking boxing. We're talking heavyweight boxing. Oleksandr Usyk versus Dereck Chisora. I got your boxing guy from Instagram, you know him, here to talk about it. First, we're going to jump right into it. First question I'm going to ask him, what are we watching for in this fight? So say we're casual fans. What are we watching for? Tell us what to look for.
So I think the thing to look for is all the things which Usyk does, just the tiny little things he does. He's always on the move. So he's either if he's feinting, even if he's just moving his head or moving his feet, like he's constantly doing something. So there's no let up for his opponent. So he just can't switch off because he's feinting. He's constantly doing something. And the thing is, you have to as a person who's fighting, you have to make that choice whether you're going to bite on every single little movement that he does or whether you're going to not bite. But the thing is, if you keep biting on every single little movement he does, come round 6 or 7, you're going to be so mentally tired just through having to be 110% the whole time. I think Tony Bellew said it when he fought him. He said he got to about round 6 and round 7 and he was actually winning on points, but he was so mentally drained because you just can't switch off, not even for a second. So yeah, I think that's the thing to look out for, is just all the little movements which Usyk does, the little hand movements, shoulder rolls, whatever. He's constantly doing something. So yeah, that's definitely the thing to look out for.
All right, so we're looking to see if Chisora's going to bite on Usyk's head fakes, his movements. I like that. I'll be checking that out. All right, moving on to our next question. A lot of my subscribers, as you know, are degenerate gamblers. So let's talk gambling. Tell us who the favorite is and why.
So for this one, it's actually really tough to decide who the favourite is. I think you can probably lean towards Usyk, just because of the fact that he's unified the whole cruiserweight division. He's never lost. And I think a lot of people would probably put them in their pound-for-pound top 3. So I think he probably leans a favourite, but you just can't rule out Chisora. I know he's lost 9 times, but under this, he's now managed by Hay. And since he's been managed by Hay, he's just been a completely new fighter. And with this whole style of coming forward, not stopping and throwing bombs, it's tough to bet against him. But I think Usyk is probably slightly the favourite. But yeah, I wouldn't rule Chisora out.
Ooh, so this is really a toss-up one. There's no clear-cut favorite.
No, I don't think so. I think Usyk is probably just the favourite. But yeah, I think it's the styles as well which makes it so interesting. Is if Chisora can get up close and rough him up, then can Usyk deal with the heavyweight power? So yeah, it's really interesting.
Cool. All right, that makes it tough for us gamblers, but don't worry, we're going to get to his prediction in a second. Before we get into your prediction, tell us about their previous fight. Who did they last fight, and how did those fights go?
So Chisora last fought Artur Spilka, who's also a southpaw, so it was good preparation for Usyk. But he's definitely not at the level Usyk is at, but it's still good preparation fighting against the southpaw. But yeah, Chisora managed to close the distance really well against Spilka, and I think he knocked him out in the second round. And that's what he needs to do with Usyk. He needs to close the distance and give him no space to breathe, get him up against the ropes and go to work, which is what he done against Spilka. And yeah, he put Spilka completely out cold, so it's good preparation for Usyk. And for Usyk, his last performance was his debut at heavyweight, which is against Chaz Weatherspoon. It wasn't the best performance, and it's tough to see how he'll do it at heavyweight. A lot of people are thinking his first fight at heavyweight, you'll be able to gauge if he can take a shot or how well he's going to deal with the power. But it wasn't really, it was more of a nothing fight, really. So it's tough to look into his last fight. And some people even said that he looked a little lackluster in that performance. And if he does that against Chisora, he's going to be in for a rough night. But I don't think that performance, his last performance, is anything to go off. I think it'll be much better than that. But if he does turn up like that, then yeah, he could be in for a rough night.
Oh, so Usyk's coming off a less than stellar performance.
Yeah, it was his. Like I said, it was his debut at heavyweight, and yeah, it looked okay, but not what you would expect for a man as good as him.
Right. So this is actually his second fight at heavyweight then.
Yeah.
In your opinion, I know we weren't going to discuss this, but in your opinion, is Usyk cut out for the heavyweight class?
I think he is. Actually. I think he's still tall. I think he's maybe 6'3", 6'4", so he's not exactly small. I know that he can't punch very hard, but it's just how good he is and how his technical ability is probably second to none. So I think that he can give anyone at heavyweight a good fight.
All right, next question. With all this COVID going on, there's going to be no crowds. does this affect either fighter? Who gets the advantage from having no crowd?
I think the disadvantage with having no crowd is definitely with Chisora. He said before that the O2 is like his second home. I mean, I understand you've never been to the O2, obviously living in America, but I've been lucky enough to go to a couple of events, and when the crowd starts singing his name, you can see just how much he loves it. Like, you can see how much he feeds off the atmosphere. And his style is perfect for a crowd. Come forward, aggressive. He puts on a show for the crowd. So I think he'll miss the crowd, especially if it goes to the later rounds and he's digging deep. Those are the sort of rounds where you need the fans to give you that little edge. So I think he might struggle a little bit without the crowd. But I think I've heard a lot of boxers say you think you're going to miss the crowds, but as soon as the punches start flying, that's the last thing on your mind. So I don't think it'll play too much of a factor.
Right, and you're right. I think, in my opinion, the aggressor is always the friend of the crowd because the crowd wants to see the brawl. So
exactly.
You're 100% right.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, last thing before we get to your prediction. What's next for these fighters? 2 days, you get this huge fight. Usyk's second fight at heavyweight. What's next for Usyk? What's next for Chisora?
So for both fighters, the outcome is the same if they both win the fight, for whoever wins the fight, because it's the WBO mandatory, so it means that whoever wins this fight will go on to face, if Anthony Joshua still has the WBO belt, will go on to face Anthony Joshua. And there's so many fans who want to see Usyk against Anthony Joshua. A lot of people are still unsure about Anthony Joshua, just how good he actually is. And Usyk, I think someone who's southpaw, someone who's so technically good, they think that Anthony Joshua will really struggle with someone like Usyk's style. But it's just that it boils down to if Usyk comes through this fight, we'll be able to see if he can take a shot. And if he can take a shot on the chin, then I think he can definitely go ahead and beat Anthony Joshua. But if he gets through Chisora first.
That is a bold statement, what you just said right there.
It is a bold statement. I'll stand by it.
So okay. So you're saying if Usyk's able to receive punches at the heavyweight class, that he can beat Anthony Joshua?
Yeah, 100. I think so. He's so much better than him. He's so much better than him technically. That I think the only question with Usyk is the power and if he can take the power. And if he can take a shot, then. Yeah, I think he beats every single person heavyweight except for Fury. I think he's probably too big and too slick for him.
Wow, that's a statement, man. And I will be DMing you on Instagram about that and see if you're right. Finally, the moment we've been waiting for. We got to hear the prediction now. And I know this is a tough one for you because we were speaking privately and you explained how you're a huge fan of both fighters. So I know this isn't easy, but you got to give us one.
So yeah, like you say, I'm such a big fan of both fighters. I think it's the same for a lot of people who are following this fight. Like, Chisora is so likeable and Usyk is such a character. If you watch his interviews, it's impossible not to laugh. So it's definitely a really tough one to pick, like who you want to win. I think no matter what, I'll be gutted to see one of them lose. But for my prediction, I think Usyk will probably be a little bit too much for Chisora. I think he's just so good, and I just can't see Chisora getting to grips with his style. But then again, it's difficult because if Chisora can get him up against the ropes, and he can work on him. So it is a really difficult one. But I just think, given his pedigree and like just how good he is, like, I struggle to go against Usyk. But
oh shit! Damn, that's crazy. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So, honestly, I was guessing in my head, and I knew you were gonna go Usyk. I swear, I knew it. But like, for you to break out a Chisora hat, bro, that's crazy. All right, so you heard it. The man picked Usyk. I'm gonna bet it. I advise you to do the same. Make sure you follow him on Instagram. He posts great content all the time. It's a great follow. And stay tuned. You know he'll be back next fight. Oh wait, real quick, while I have you, and since we're talking boxing, later that night or morning for you, Leo Santa Cruz is fighting Gervonta Tank Davis. I don't know if you're staying up that late, but quick throw out. Who do you like?
So I'm going to go to sleep and I'm going to wake up and definitely watch that fight. 'Cause it was a great fight. I love Davis. I love his style that he just comes forward and throws bombs. I know he's been a little controversial in the news and stuff like that, and I know that he can be a little unlikable, but he's such a good fighter. And yeah, I think I'll still be rooting for him, and I expect him to knock Santa Cruz out because he's so strong and he's got dynamite in that left hand. So I definitely go for a Davis knockout.
I'm expecting the same, unfortunately, because Leo Santa Cruz is actually my favorite boxer.
Okay.
He's got the same birthday as me, day, year, everything. And
Oh,
so
really?
I've always liked him. And this is like a huge fight for him, but I just don't think he can hang with that power, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. But the thing is, he is a really good boxer, and so like I don't think you can rule him out. I know Davis is like the red hot favorite, but I don't think you can rule him out, to be fair.
I'm gonna bet on Santa Cruz, but I'm betting with my heart, not my brain.
Okay, yeah. I might do the same with Chisora.
Yeah. No, you're not. You're betting Usyk, bro. Who are you kidding? We know you're betting Usyk. All right, man. Thanks for coming on. I'll talk to you soon, and I'll be DM you during the fight.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.